Bonjour et bienvenue au Live Interactive English. Je m'appelle Michel. Je m'appelle Michel.
And I'm Kim.
Et vous? Yeah, you're... Oh, right. We're doing this in English.
Yeah.
We're reading about Paris in English.
Yes.
I got it the other way around.
Oh.
Yeah.
Parlez-vous français?
Oui, je peux parler le français un petit peu. Paris by foot. That's what we're talking about. So you speak French?
Baguette.
That's bread.
Omelette du fromage.
You're just reading a menu.
But that's the important part.
That is true.
If you can read a menu, you're good.
That is true. If you can order food in France, you're already halfway there to having a great holiday. And the other part of a great holiday, of course, in France would be visiting Paris and doing it by foot. We could also say on foot. So have you been to Paris?
I haven't.
Oh, you must go.
I would love to go
Oh,
one day.
it's fantastic.
But I will say one of my favorite ways to explore cities is by foot.
Yes.
I think it's a great idea to just kind of come out of a metro station or get off for the bus stop or drive to a certain place, park the car, and just get out and walk.
Absolutely.
You can see so many things.
Absolutely. And Paris is actually a great city for that because even just walking down the street, the buildings are beautiful. And a lot of the things you want to see are kind of right in the city center. It's not as spread out as, say, Tokyo or somewhere like that. So yeah, visiting Paris and seeing it by foot or on foot, basically a walking tour of Paris would be great. So let's check out Paris by foot, a walk through the City of Light. And this is part 1 of 2. So we'll be reading about this for 2 days, but let's get into it right now. Few places on earth can measure up to Paris in culture and history. To experience some of the City of Light's best, we invite you to follow these paths. First day, the Louvre. The world's second largest art museum, it houses the Mona Lisa, Venus de Milo, and many other important works. Notre Dame. This 14th century cathedral was made popular by Victor Hugo's novel, The Hunchback of Notre Dame, which was later turned into a Disney movie. Unfortunately, in 2019, the church was damaged in a fire, but visitors can still get a great view of Notre Dame from its forecourt.
All right, our article begins here. Few places on earth can measure up to Paris in culture and history. To experience some of the City of Light's best, we invite you to follow these paths.
Very interesting. It is a great city, right? One of the world's cities, culture, history, art, all sorts of stuff. So yeah, it's definitely somewhere I think everyone should try to visit at least once in their life because it really is quite a special and unique place.
Yes, it is, and we're going to tell you exactly how to get around. But first, we have this word, path. So a path is a small walkway or small trail. It can be maybe a small alley behind a building, or it can be a hiking trail in the woods. It's just a small way to go. It's not as big as a road, definitely not a highway or anything like that. It's just a small place that you can probably walk or take a bike. So for example, Grace walked down the path and entered the dark forest.
Okay. It's true, yeah, people don't usually drive on a path.
No.
You would walk. Maybe a bicycle could go on a bicycle path. It might be prepared like a road, or yeah, it might just be sort of an area through a forest where there are fewer trees and it's easier to walk a path or a trail through some woods. So yeah, follow this path. This is a walking tour, a walking path through the great city of Paris. So what are we going to do? The first day, all right, we've set it up kind of like a schedule, something that you might want to follow if you ever have the chance to go to Paris. So on the first day, on day 1, what should you do? Well, of course, the Louvre, one of the world's most famous places or museums. It says the world's second largest art museum. It houses the Mona Lisa, Venus de Milo, and many other important works.
I did not know that it was the second largest.
Second largest. So
what is the largest?
I would guess either the Metropolitan, the Met
in New
New
York?
York, or the Hermitage in St. Petersburg, Russia, which is an old palace. And just because it's an old palace and the Louvre was an old palace, I'm imagining they're really big.
Interesting.
But the Hermitage in Russia is a museum, it is a palace, and it is big, so it might be number one. I don't know. But yes, the Louvre, of course, you have to go there. You got to get a picture of the Mona Lisa. Sure, okay, do that. Venus de Milo with the arms cut off. Many other great works of art, both from sort of the classical period, by the Renaissance, the masters, and also a lot of old Greek and Roman stuff. The Nike of Samothrace, that beautiful winged sort of angel-like creature. It's giant. It's on the top of the stairs. Oh, so much to see. You could spend days at the Louvre. But let's say you only go there for a morning or an afternoon. What to do next? Notre Dame, or Notre Dame, as some people would say. This very famous place. It says this 14th century cathedral was made popular by Victor Hugo's novel, The Hunchback of Notre Dame, which was later turned into a Disney movie. Now, I'm not sure about this one because they had a big fire there.
Yeah,
like
maybe
2 years
two years ago. And they lost the very famous spiral, that kind of sharp tower at the top.
So you can definitely go and see it, but it might be covered in construction equipment.
Yeah.
And I think right now, I don't think you're allowed to go inside.
Probably not. They're rebuilding
which
it.
is too bad because the great rose window, of course, is very famous, but definitely worth seeing. And it's also on the island, Ile de la Cité, in the middle of the Seine, so there's a lot of old buildings around there too. So definitely worth visiting. And yeah, made famous from the Victor Hugo novel.
Yes, so a novel is a kind of longer story, a very thick book that tells a fictional story. They're always fictional, so it's not nonfiction, it's not a true story. And the example, the author's latest novel has been getting excellent reviews. Good for them.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah, so this novel, The Hunchback of Notre Dame, that's a pretty famous one, yeah.
Very famous, right? Esmeralda, Quasimodo, that the Disney movie. Yeah, it's a popular thing. He was up there with the bells of Notre Dame, right? Yeah, all right, so.
Well, it continues, as we said. Unfortunately, in 2019, the church was damaged in a fire, but visitors can still get a great view of Notre Dame from its forecourt.
Absolutely.
So you can't go in, you can't go up into the spire, you can't really see, but at least you can take a look outside.
Sure.
Still nice.
And maybe if you don't go this year and wait a year or two, maybe by then they'll have some of the reconstruction done and you will get to visit, but still worth checking out. All right, let's take a break and then we'll be back with our Day 2 itinerary or schedule for Paris by foot.
Hello， 大家好，我是 Hanny。巴黎常常被称为 City of Light 光之城。那世界上很少有地方可以在文化和历史上来跟巴黎相提并论。今天的课文会提供一些路线，让你可以漫步巴黎，体验一些最棒的景点哦。好，文中它用到单字 path， 它可以指小径、小路、小道或者是途径的意思。我们也可以用 itinerary 这个字 ，itinerary，itinerary 表示旅行计划、旅游行程或是路线的意思。那课文写到说，第一天可以去罗浮宫，它是世界第2大的艺术博物馆，有收藏了蒙娜丽莎、米洛维纳斯啊，还有许多其他重要作品。Mike 老师刚刚提到说 Renaissance 这个字就表示文艺复兴。他还提到一个知名作品叫做 Nike of Samothrace。好，萨莫特雷斯的胜利女神，她是希腊神话当中这个胜利女神 Nike 的雕塑。好，我们下一站来到巴黎圣母院，它是在14世纪新建完成的。而这座大教堂就因为雨果的小说《钟楼怪人》而受到欢迎，后来变成了迪士尼电影。遗憾的是啊，这座教堂在2019年经历了一场火灾，受到损毁。那么游客呢，其实还是可以从它的前院来欣赏的。我们看单字 novel 是指小说或是指长篇小说。那么小说是虚构的，我们可以用 fictional 这个字来描述虚构的小说的。这个字是拼作 fictional。好，老师们聊到说，巴黎圣母院位于塞纳河中的西提岛上，很可惜啊，它的这个尖塔遭到大火毁损，需要时间来重建。好，那 Mike 老师刚刚有提到 Seine 就是塞纳河 Ile de la Cité 是西堤岛，还有提到 spire 这个字，我们拼一下 S-P-I-R-E， 它表示尖塔或者是尖顶，通常是指这个教堂的尖塔、尖顶。还有提到 reconstruction， R-E-C-O-N-S-T-R-U-C-T-I-O-N。Reconstruction 就表示重建的意思。好，那这边3个重点，我们进入文法时间。好，来看第一个重点是 few 和 little 都是表达否定语义的很少、几乎没有。那么 few 后面是接复数可数名词 ，little 是接不可数名词，我们就来造2个例句。Few people know about this place. 很少人知道这个地方。There was little time to prepare. 意思是说几乎没有时间准备。那么第2个重点是 measure up， 它表示符合、到达，后面常常会接 to 加名词来表达符合或者是达到某些标准、期望等等。举例来说 ，His performance didn't measure up to their expectations. 他的表现没有达到他们的期望。第3个重点是 turn A into B， 表示把 A 变成 B。那么被动语态是 A be turned into B， 表示 A 被变成 B 了。举例来说 ，The prince was turned into a frog， 王子被变成青蛙了。好，接回到课文中。
Second day. Montparnasse. Once a place for famous artists and writers to gather, this neighborhood is full of historical charm. The cute cafes here serve some of the best crepes in town. Paris catacombs. The bones of over 6 million people line the walls of these underground halls. The city began storing human remains here in the 18th century, when its cemeteries became full. Eiffel Tower. The symbol of Paris, this metal tower was built in 1889 for the World's Fair and to celebrate 100 years since the French Revolution. All right, so it's our second day in Paris on our walking tour, Paris by foot. What are we going to do? Well, let's check it out. It says Montparnasse. Yes, this is a famous area or neighborhood of Paris. It says once a place for famous artists and writers to gather. This neighborhood is full of historical charm. So if you're into some of the great sort of impressionist painters or writers from around the time of Victor Hugo and earlier and later, a lot of them maybe lived or worked in Montparnasse. So it's full of historical charm. Small little buildings, gives you a feeling of Paris from hundreds of years ago, and maybe a good place to stop for a snack. It says the cute cafes here serve some of the best crepes in town. Those sort of very thin French pancakes.
I'm going there.
A wonderful thing for a little snack.
That's where I'm going to be all day.
Okay, you'll
just right there.
You'll just take your shoes off and stop there.
Yes, and it's not because of the charm, it's because of the crepes.
It's because of the grapes, okay.
Okay, so this place in the city has a lot of charm. If something has charm, it's kind of cute or lovely, kind of special in like an endearing way. You kind of feel like, you really like this place because it's got some sort of very lovely feeling to it. So these old buildings in Paris, they kind of make you feel like romantic, like you're taken to a different time. And that's the charm of them. That's what makes them special and unique and gives you that kind of feeling inside. For example, Jordan fell in love with the city because of its charm.
Okay.
And the crepes.
And the crepes,
And the
absolutely. Crepes. So we often think of kind of cute, attractive, it draws you in. When I think of Montparnasse, I don't think of the charm. The last time I was there, I think of the pigeon that pooped on my jacket.
Come for the crepes, stay for the pigeon
Yeah,
poo.
it was a little embarrassing, and then it was made worse because my parents saw it. They turned to me and they pointed at me and laughed.
That's what I would have done
I didn't
too.
feel
Sorry.
the charm of Montparnasse. I didn't feel the charm of my family. I felt embarrassed.
Word of warning.
Yeah,
Watch for the pigeons.
So be careful of the pigeons. They're not part of the charm. All right, so next. Oh, this is something I've always wanted to do.
I'm scared. This is the Paris catacombs.
Yes.
The bones of over 6 million people line the walls of these underground halls. The city began storing human remains here in the 18th century when its cemeteries became full.
Absolutely. These are hidden tunnels under the streets of Paris. You have to take a tour, and I think many of the tours are at night. And you go down there, and it's like a library, but instead of books on all the shelves, it's bones and skulls and stuff. It's really interesting.
I mean, you go down there at night, but what's the point? It's already underground.
True. I think just to scare you more. That
would work.
It's part of the charm.
That's
yeah, of course. But because it is under the streets or underground, you need to go on a tour. You need to have a tour guide. And so you might want to sign up for that before you go to Paris, because I think it's quite a popular thing.
Yes.
Because, of course, an underground tour of a big city is not really that normal. You might take a train underground. We call that an MRT or a subway. But most tourists only do that. They don't look at things underground. Because underground, of course, means below the surface of the earth. We think of subways, we think of those trains that go underground. Miners, people who work underground, digging out gold or coal or things like that. And of course, a tunnel that a car might drive through some mountains or something. We would say that is also underground. For example, workers are doing their best to free the teenagers trapped in the underground mine. My gosh.
Sounds serious.
That's a little scary. Okay, next thing we turn to, of course, the most famous thing that people in Paris would want to see and certainly would recognize, the Eiffel Tower. The symbol of Paris, this metal tower was built in 1889 for the World's Fair and to celebrate 100 years since the French Revolution. That's right, they got rid of their king back in 1789. Built the tower in 1889, and of course it's still there. You can still visit. I think it's also popular, so you might actually have to sign up to go there. You can, of course, take an elevator to the top, or if you're very brave and have some extra time, climb the thousands of steps to get up to the top. But the Eiffel Tower is a must-see for anyone in Paris. And of course, since it's so big, you can kind of see it from anywhere.
Yes.
But you might want to actually go there. It's famously made of iron, which is a type of metal.
Yeah, so iron is a type of metal. Metal is this element that's like very hard, comes from the earth, and includes things like iron and ore and gold, silver, bronze. These are all metals. For example, Alice put the vegetables in a large metal bowl.
Yeah, and so of course we can also make metal like steel and things like that. We would also say that's a type of metal too. So if you want it to be strong and hard and last for a long time like the Eiffel Tower, sure, make it out of metal. All right, well that's all the time we have. That's good. My feet hurt a little bit.
Yeah, we
As
take a
some
break.
people would say, my dogs are barking. Doesn't that mean your feet are sore? It's a weird expression.
I'm going to use that from
You're going to
now
use.
on.
I think
like
that does mean my feet are sore. I got to take them off and get rid of the pigeon poop on my jacket. Gosh, a day in Paris is a lot of hard work. But we have one more day coming up with more fantastic things to see to help you guys plan your next adventure in the City of Light, Paris. We'll see you tomorrow. Au revoir. À bientôt.
Bye-bye.
好，我们来看第二天的路线。那么第一站是来到蒙帕纳斯，这一带曾经是知名艺术家和作家的聚集之地，充满了历史魅力。而且那边有迷人的咖啡简餐店，你可以吃到城里最好吃的可丽饼哦。来看 charm 这个字，它表示魅力、吸引力。那么 Kim 老师在讲解时用到 endearing 这个字。endearing， 那它是形容可爱的、讨人喜欢的。Mike 老师讲到艺术家的时候，他提到 impressionist， 就是 impression 印象，再加上 ist 变成这个字，表示印象派画家。那下一站来到巴黎地下墓穴，这里呀，它的这个地下大厅墙上排列着超过600万具的人骨，哎，好，来看一下 underground 这个字形容地面下的。然后讲到人骨呢，Mike 老师他有提到 skull 这个字 ，skull，skull 就是颅骨、头盖骨的意思。好，下一站呢就是埃菲尔铁塔。这座金属塔呢是巴黎的象征，建于1889年。那么兴建目的是为了世界博览会，还有庆祝法国大革命100周年。我们看到单字 metal， 它表示金属。Kim 老师刚刚提到 bronze，bronze， 它表示青铜或者是青铜制品。还有提到 ore， 它表示矿石或是矿砂。 最后麦克老师有开玩笑说，哦，走了那么多路 ，My dogs are barking， 我的狗狗们在叫，这是什么意思呢？它其实指 My feet hurt， 就是用来表达说我走路走累了，走到脚都痛了。好啦，那么以上是今天的讲解，同学们别走开，马上回来哦。
Few places on Earth can measure up to Paris in culture and history. To experience some of the City of Light's best, we invite you to follow these paths. First day, the Louvre. The world's second largest art museum, it houses the Mona Lisa, Venus de Milo, and many other important works. Notre Dame. This 14th century cathedral was made popular by Victor Hugo's novel, The Hunchback of Notre Dame, which was later turned into a Disney movie. Unfortunately, in 2019, the church was damaged in a fire, but visitors can still get a great view of Notre Dame from its forecourt. Second day, Montparnasse. Once a place for famous artists and writers to gather, this neighborhood is full of historical charm. The cute cafes here serve some of the best crepes in town. Paris catacombs. The bones of over 6 million people line the walls of these underground halls. The city began storing human remains here in the 18th century, when its cemeteries became full. Eiffel Tower. The symbol of Paris, this metal tower was built in 1889 for the World's Fair and to celebrate 100 years since the French Revolution.
Hello everybody and welcome. My name is Oliver.
And I'm Matt.
And today we're going to be playing a game called Guess the Bear, in which we both be asking each other phrases with a missing word replaced with bear, and the other person will have to guess. We both have 1 minute to do the exercise. So, I guess I'll go first. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, here we go. Ready? And please start the clock. Number 1. It's a noun. There is a narrow bear leading deep into the forest. 2. The bear to success is never easy.
Pass.
Correct. Noun. The frame of the umbrella is made of bear. Number 2. Mercury is a liquid bear.
Metal?
Yes. Okay, this is a 2-word phrase. Joe doesn't know how to bear to his brother's success. Number 2. I try to bear to my parents' expectations.
Live up?
Oh!
How to... Try to... not live up.
Yeah, kind of.
I know. What else has that meaning? To match up, live. I don't know.
I'll give you again. Joe doesn't. Not bad. Okay, it was measure up.
Measure
Yeah.
up. Okay.
Joe doesn't know how to measure up to his brother's success, and I try to measure up to my parents' expectations. Quite good though. Two for 3.
Missed that last one. All right, it's your turn now. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right, 1 minute on the clock. Let's begin. Okay, the first one is an adjective. There is an bare network of tunnels beneath the city. And if you work in a mine, you risk being trapped bare.
Underground.
That's correct. Next one is a noun. Okay. James aspires to write his own bear. My favorite series of bears is Lord of the Rings.
Well, I thought it was novel.
Yeah.
Books.
You had it.
Oh, it was novel.
No. Okay. Next one, another noun. Okay. Derek is suave and full of bear. The city's bear is in its friendly inhabitants.
Charm.
Correct.
Yes.
That's 3 for 3.
All right.
That was quick. You still had time on the clock.
Oh yeah, you were all very easy ones. So I was very lucky.
See you next time.